brain slews, slick with ectoplasmic juice.
Static energy, a fire that fuels our memory.
What genealogy with spiritual topography?
Questions for your answers, we are data necromancers.
Welcome. I should welcome
Hello. Hey Whitney.
Hey Megan.
How you doing?
What episode is this? Episode 50? 50.
I'm very stoked to be alive and to be with you this day.
I am also excited to be here. It's cathartic. It's awesome. Welcome everybody. Psst. Do you have a secret?
Psst. I have lots of secrets. But I think you know most of them.
I do.
I came up with a new concept.
Go on.
Lasagnosis. So in trying to curb my, I know this is a 2-year debacle, in trying to curb my Bob's Bumpers addiction, I've been watching that Esoterica YouTube channel a lot.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there are smart people out in the world that you can just watch them talk and you can learn things or like recover lost knowledge that you once had. So I watched the Gnostics episode.
And
very cool. Well, it was just nice to get a perspective on, because like you think about early Christianity and you think there was one sort of orthodox point of view and all of these like little branching heresies that didn't go with the mainstream, but they knew they were kind of like on the fringe. But they reframed it to say like every early Christian approach was just going for it. Everybody had their own sort of interpretation of how they should move forward with Christ's knowledge, and there was no like orthodox point of view until some really angry church fathers destroyed everybody but their own thing. But of course they carried on underground, they became heresies, but they were all just different schools of thought.
Somebody's using my hose.
Where? In the back?
Oh, they're leaving.
What the hell? I'm trapped by cords.
She rang the doorbell, but the doorbell doesn't have a battery. Megan and I just went out. Sorry, we lost people. Sorry. There was I definitely heard somebody fucking with my shit, so I went out there.
I was wondering what you were responding to on your phone.
Yeah, and then it's like, your battery's dead, and I'm just like,
What kind of batteries does it take? I can hook you up. I got all kinds.
You do? We got like 85 toys that you can...
What size? AAA? AA?
Double
I'll just
Ds.
bring a smattering.
Big, giant double Ds.
Big, giant double D. You got it. Batteries. So yesterday I was... I decided that I wanted to keep my body in motion all day long. It was so luxurious.
Do you want to go back to the heretics?
Nah, I feel like I talk about that too much.
We should circle back around to that. I mean, you and I, okay. But I will tap the flow with you.
My, I did shooty hoops, which was incredible. And then I went swimming in the pool because they finally cleaned it. And then I set out on a journey on the bus, which was a lot on foot. So when we go on Ruby field trip,
it's got to be a different season.
Yeah, we'll need to bring that skin cancer umbrella, parasol, parasol. And I don't know, it was just really fun to be engaged that way. It was really hot. And I got asked out by 2.5 men.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's the only bummer about riding the bus. I did it in Minneapolis and Baltimore, so I don't know if it's the same thing here, but God, you're such a fucking target if you're alone.
Definitely. And like, I don't mind somebody sitting with me on my little 2-seater thing, but not if the rest of the bus is empty.
No, you're gonna...
You're like, okay, some guy named Anthony.
Anthony. Hey, Anthony.
Asked me if I wanted
Shut
to
up.
go see a movie. I was like, I have a boyfriend. Thank you.
He's like, well, then why are you riding the bus alone?
The other one was the server at the restaurant I went to. And he was just like,
You also attract Bible. There's Bible people down here always trying to preach the Bible. And
I think it's because I make eye contact and smile with everybody. I'm like, hey, I see your humanity. And then they're like, oh, let me pour into you all of my troubles and pain. Like, oh,
I've witnessed you get just Bible flapped. And I'm just like, Megan, what is happening?
Oh, interesting. Yes, tell me more. I love it. But I also thought it was interesting because I wanted to tell you about those dudes, Eugene, Matt, and Tony. But I had this like reluctance to do so, which I think comes from my patriarchal training.
You had the reluctance to tell me about it?
Yeah, because I was
Why?
like, oh, I don't want to tell something like that. That'll make me seem unequal with my peers, that I'm getting asked out all the time.
There's no equanimity in...
I know, but isn't that like a patriarchal concept where women have to like tamp themselves down and appear as less?
Is it?
Yes.
Okay,
So.
you tell me.
I believe so.
Okay.
Where you can't like fully
Express yourself?
divulge. You like some things are like not ladylike to share.
There
Impropriety,
yeah,
you
no,
know?
sure, yeah.
It was just a rambling thought in one ear and out the other.
But tell me about them.
Who, the men?
Yeah.
The server was like, sorry, I'm so hungover. Oh, I left the cups. And he like forgot to take the cups off the table. And when I first arrived, I got there right when they opened because I wanted to eat and enjoy and then get the bus home and not be out all night.
What made you pick this spot? I'd never heard of it.
I saw it. It's on 2nd Street, and that's the same street the library is on.
Huh.
So I was walking down 2nd Street, and it's like, it looked hella Italian. I'm like, I want to go to Italy again. So I sit on their patio in the shade, and I got a book from the library, and I was just chilling and enjoying my time.
P.S. Megan and I was waiting for the tires to be changed on the truck, and Megan and I went to Half Price Books, and I was like, Megan, I want to witness.
Oh, yeah. Fuck,
Like,
tell about that.
Megan opens the door, and there is she just like, phew. She goes straight to one shelf. She's like, look at all the, ooh, this one is for you. And it was magical, and I was like, it's happening. And I was like, it's happening, everybody. She's doing the thing. It's
I'm
called
a book divining rod.
the Mother Mantra, the ancient shamanic yoga of non-duality. And this shit, I am on like page 10 because this shit is rocking my fucking world. And whoever wrote it is really rad.
Yeah.
So they've got a good voice, but it's just like a little, you and I sat for like an hour on voice messaging.
She was just reading me parts of this book, and I was sharing clips from the Esoterica videos I was watching, right? It's amazing to be your friend because we have the same like deep curiosity about everything.
Yeah, it led us to this, in the book of Enoch, they talk about the rebellious guardians who are rebellious angels, and they were the ones that just loved fucking human women. They just thought they were the tightest thing ever, so they went against God and started banging human ladies.
women.
And then they impregnated all the human ladies, and then the human ladies gave birth to titans, and then titans destroyed everything, and then God flooded the earth. Which I was like, this is the most plausible thing in my mind.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Because there's so many instances of giant bones, like over and over and all.
Show me a giant bone.
Show me. Like on every continent, in every country, they have bones that are larger than even like our documented.
And they're not Neanderthals.
No.
Got it.
But these rebellious
I'm into
angels
it.
were the ones, this is where cosmetics came from.
Oh, to teach women how to doll themselves up. Can you imagine?
I just like the idea of rebellious angels that God was like, okay, you guys need to do X, Y, Z. And then they're just like, swing. And
The rebellious ones have always been, I mean, it's like the most transgressive because the whole concept of having one Father God is to submit. And so if you refuse to submit, like, of course you're going to be referred to as evil.
But they rejected the book of Enoch because God was like, okay, it's fine. Like, God was compassionate and didn't really care that angels rebelled, and he knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So he just fixed the problem and didn't care. Like, and then they're like, well, then there's no sinning. And if there's no sinning, then how do we control?
Right.
But yeah, that's where mascara comes from, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, rebellious angels. I wear mascara when I don't feel like taking a shower and I still want to look put together.
So it's like masks your scent.
It's like, well, no, it just like zeroes in on my eyes instead of everything else. It's like, oh, you see me. This is what you see.
Think, think,
blink, blink. That's dope. I love thinking about, and that's like the Gnostic version of heaven and God and creation is much more having to do with like love and compassion and like the first being or the first knowing the whole thing. What do they call it? What do they call God?
The gingerbread man.
The great gingerbread man in the sky. Oh, my notes are all over the place. But like the creation of the material world took eons, and it was from God. It thinks about itself and knows itself, and those thoughts are like the first creations, you know?
I know, but what made God think about itself for the first time? What was, I brought this up in my group the other day. I was like, okay, but why initiate source wanting to experience itself?
Well, you can think about like, why do planets form? Why does matter like move away from itself in some situations, but then cluster up in different situations? It's like, why does space-time have curvatures and like matter and energy flowing through it? It's like, how do you get to that pre-question, that pre-beginning?
Well, if we want to jump on an alternate timeline train, so put on your alternate timeline train hat. There's a show on the History Channel called Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, and these like scientists are studying this guy who meditates and makes UFOs come out of the sky. And I've seen a documentary years ago about groups that would meditate to initiate conversations with
Contact.
UAPs, and there's going to be one this September that I'm definitely going to go to because I am
like a group prayer.
Yeah, to meditate to initiate. Sarah said that she's been to them and she's like, it's terrifying because like suddenly stuff starts coming out of the sky in tandem with your meditative thoughts and whatever.
I always go back to that scene in Independence Day where
Will Smith
Vivica A. Fox is like, girl, don't go, to her like stripper friend. She's like, girl, I got a bad feeling about it. Don't go. And she's like, okay, I won't. And she's like, promise? She's like, I promise. But she's got her fingers crossed behind her back. So she still goes to this like alien meetup with her little sign. And she's like, take me to your leader. And then they all get fucking blown up all at once. That's not going to happen.
No. And this guy is like, oh, I forget his name. It doesn't matter. He's a very just like cute little old guy in Virginia, middle of nowhere.
In Virginia? Did I miss that detail?
Yeah, I think he's from Virginia. And,
wow.
So he has that astrophysicist from he's all over the History Channel. He's like the redhead, but he's like buff. I don't
buff redhead.
But they're studying him in like episode 1. They're already getting like all this data, and he's like, I'm just asking them to show themselves. It's like a really cute little,
But they never come down and like walk amongst.
But the alternate, no, it's just lights in the sky at this point.
I mean, that's fucking incredible in and of itself.
But the people who talk to aliens have said, they're like, look, we're sorry. We can't really come down because you guys are so on the defense and unpredictable. But there's been, I watched this interview with this guy that used to work at, I'm going to fuck it up, but we'll just say the CIA.
Toys R Us.
They have documented, he used to work at Toys R Us. They have documented incidences of aliens deactivating on different continents all sorts of weapons of mass destruction. And the Russians got really pissed once because they thought it was the Americans. The Americans were like, no, we don't know how to do that.
It would be more American of us to say, yeah, and we'll do it again.
Yeah. You caught us.
That is our great technology, and we own you.
Oh, Thomas says, walked in on the deep, wish I could stay, super busy. Long-time listener, hoping to log in more frequently. Have a great day. Cheers.
Thomas?
Thanks for listening, Thomas.
Doubting Thomas?
Doubting Thomas.
Is he a doubting Thomas? Sorry, I don't even know what that
I don't know what that
archetype
means
is. I think it has to do with Jesus's disciples.
Oh, okay.
The Gospel of Thomas. Sorry, go on.
But the alternate timeline train that we're all on right now that consistently aliens are telling meditating humanoids that they created us. And the free will is kind of what's fucking everything up.
Yeah.
And according to many of them, 2025 is the year that they're going to try to like, hey guys.
Cool. I'm in.
Oh, dude, I'm so ready because right now it's just like, we often talk about the lasting effects of religion and how it has decimated everything and everybody and how we
it's so crazy.
And Puritans and Quakers and women don't have pussies and I don't know, it's just,
or they get their pussies cut off in circumcision. All the different ways, all the myriad ways that the patriarchal system of Christianity and Judaism and Islam have just sort of mutated our social network,
I guess control is just inherent. So I was talking about this with Lucas because Lucas is like, the alien stuff really rocks his world because he hasn't been reading and watching and doing all the shit that I've been doing since I was like 8. I showed him
Show the binder.
I showed him what I sent you yesterday. I was like,
is it a purple binder?
It's my yearbook. I like drew UFOs all over my yearbook. I was like, this is 2003, guys. Like, I'm like, yeah, duh.
Did you watch X-Files?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
But it leads me back to, I'm like, will people stop with the religion hoo-ha? Or are they just gonna
No.
They're just gonna be like, no, Jesus created aliens, and then you're like, what?
Well, and then there's also the instance of like fossil records being claimed as like hoaxes, or like like there's always going to be a way to explain
So will there be alien Mormons knocking on everybody's door? Like, what will it take? Because humans, we're in so much denial about everything all the time, which can be beneficial. But it's like something as basic as I was reading about this guy who escaped a submarine in the British Navy who was attacked in like 1940, whatever. And he escaped, and people were like, that's impossible. You can't, all the nitrogen in your body, you'd explode like a soda can. And he's just like, okay,
I'm right here.
60 years later, they found the wreckage.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he was right. But he was absolutely scrutinized, just like the alien talker in Virginia. He's like, I had to pull my kids out of school. And he's like, all I wanted to do was tell somebody that I had this crazy experience. And he's like, I got ostracized. I couldn't go out to eat. And it's just like, well, yeah, you're also in a bumfuck nowhere, Virginia. So good luck with,
Yeah, it's like that, the Maslow hierarchy. Because if you think about like the two bottom levels, physiological needs and safety needs, so many people don't have those covered. So like if you, just like a rundown, air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and then reproduction / sex. That's the bottom layer.
Which one's the bottom layer?
physiological needs: air,
Okay.
water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction / sex. And then right above that is safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, property. I don't know. We could debate these all day long. And then up above that, you have love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. And then above that, you have esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, and freedom. And then above that, you have self-actualization. And I feel like people can't really open their minds to a new concept that would completely shatter everything they know about existence on earth, in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Like, people cannot be that modified without having all of these things filled. And I don't know a lot of people who have all these things filled.
You know what's even crazier is that Jesus Christ, the book of Mary Magdalene, was thrown out by, you were telling me, Saint Peter.
Oh yeah, Simon Peter.
And Jesus was like, yo, this bitch, she's cool with me. She gets it.
Yeah, he said, Mary knows my mind the best. And all the other disciples were so jealous of that Peter had to like explicitly deny.
So even if Jesus Christ came down on a cloud and said, yo, look, aliens, look, I'm one of them. We are them. There is no separate. I see some people at the grocery store and they're like ultra pale and lanky and bald and their toes are long. And you're like, how can you be like, we're different than aliens? It's like, no, we're fucking just as weird and gross. And everybody's jerking off and eating scrambled eggs. It's like, do you not see how weird you are? Like, floating on a rock in space? Why do you think that it's different?
Nobody really zooms out like that, and everything has to be just like rote, like ritual. Everything is sort of blinders so that you can go to work and clock in and, you know, put together a box and then go clock out and go home and watch TV, which is also a box, or used to be a box. I guess now they're...
You know what the dude in Virginia also brought up for me? So he lost everything in his portfolio when the housing crash of 2008.
What's his portfolio?
He just lost everything. He lost all of his money. He lost everything, was gone. Everything he spent his whole life working for. And he was contemplating. And I was like, I hate this. He's going to kill himself.
Yeah. Because your value is predicated on your worth in our society, right?
I just like, why is it the white guy who, when he loses everything, there was this, I think of two families. One of them was in the suburbs of Minneapolis, where he came home, killed every single kid he had, and his mom blew his brains out because his business went bankrupt.
Because it's so intricately linked, like that sense of identity and success, that is who you are in life for some people.
So murder everyone and then kill yourself.
The sense of shame and dishonor must be overwhelming. I'm not saying like kill all people.
A previous boss was like talking about the fear of losing everything. And I'm like, oh no. And then you'll be just like us.
Just like us.
Just like us.
We've got no property.
Oh, what a bummer.
We've got no equity.
You have to get another job, just a regular one, like one of us peons.
Groceries. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's such a classist thing, and it's like privilege as well. The privilege of being white means that you don't have to think about like struggles related to having a different skin color. So like the only thing that they care about is their actual earning power. That's like their definitive.
I think
too much emphasis on success.
I keep asking Lucas, I'm like, well, why didn't the aliens interfere sooner? Like, why didn't they're like, oh God, this religion thing is kind of getting out of control, but they stopped killing each other and raping each other as much. Or was that part of the...
Well, yeah, maybe it's like a parent trying to let the kid figure it out on their own.
I think of that too, like in a lot of the spiritual texts I read, they're like, hey, we're just here to suffer. It's not anything personal, and you guys are really attached to your bodies. So when someone dies, you think it's the end, but it's not.
Yeah.
So this is kind of just like a suffering battery, and the power in which it recharges souls.
Good
and
luck.
certain souls have more battery power, and it's just, it's so hard. I have like zoom out syndrome, where it's
you
like
do it too much.
I do it way too much, and my therapist always kind of hints that I'd have to find somebody else to talk to about that sort of stuff, and I'm like, that sounds like. It's going to be super hard. But
Wait, what does that mean? Other than her?
yeah, just like a different existentialist or
Oh,
something.
because she's not as
It's
sort of-
beyond her pay grade. Or I'd have to pay her more. I don't know.
yeah.
But it's like sitting at the central market, and then the food system's like, boom. And you're like, fuck you. And then, I don't know. It goes on. And Lucas knows better than to bring up taxes with me or whatever, because it's like, it's so
This
hard.
whole
to
system is fucked.
just like, come on, just keep it right here or something. I think it's just been bad because of the physiological stress of creation, but
Yeah.
there's something like that.
No shit, Sherlock. Your body is a 3D printer.
I told Ruby's like, why is it so hot? And I just like went on this fucking diatribe about how like, look, we fucked it, and it's going to be your responsibility growing up to like, I'm going to usher you into the sciences. Like, this is your duty to like, come on, like step up to the plate. She's like,
I'm
what's
3.
for dinner? Just like, I'm like, oh God, yeah. You picked me, according to all the texts. You get to pick your parents when they're copulating. You choose, you hop in.
That would be a surprise to most people who have been born if they had that knowledge.
I'm trying to raise kids, and I'm like, no, you're not going to fucking art school. Sorry. Like you have to be a lawyer or go into the sciences. Like
Isn't that going to make them resent you?
Oh, well, I won't force them into it, but I'm not paying for art school is what I'm going to say. I'm like, yeah, I'm not co-signing any of that shit. You're on your fucking own.
I see. Well, Ruby, if you're watching this,
Art school is a scam.
20 years, hope you decide the right kind of school.
Fucking scam.
What if Mary Magdalene had been the successor of Jesus and not Peter?
You and I would be wearing chainmail made of rubies and sapphires, and we would be worshipped. I don't know. I think everything would look a lot different.
I think so too. But we were talking the other day about balance between the two.
Yeah, you don't want.
And if it was starkly matriarchal, it would still be bad.
Yeah,
It would
cattier.
It would be bad in a lot different ways, but it'd still be bad.
Yeah.
So you need
Partnership.
a partnership where both sides of the brain, both types of all kinds of hormone levels, every sort of physical ability is met, is considered. I guess that's why a council would be really nice.
Can you just imagine if there was no sexual repression?
It's so tied up with religion.
Just for one fucking second, imagine functionality among cultures and humanity if you were like, look, this is how, oh shit, I just brought this up the other day. Because we were talking about how Lilith,
Yes.
Lilith, and how we're like, this is a fucking nerd who came in his pants every fucking night and blamed it on a demon lady, and it was like, the sexually repressed men have fucking ruined it for everybody,
Well-
and they're still doing that shit. Nobody told them or taught them how to fuck properly, or like treat a woman, or like coax your woman into like, let's satiate both of our needs. It's like
Hello, goddess.
Instead, you're like coming in your little night jammies, your night monk jammies, all the fuck this guy, by the way. I am so mad at this guy. He's like,
your fault.
It's
your fucking fault.
It's a demon woman who was Adam's first wife, which don't even get me started on how fucked that system is.
Yeah, so this is the all right, let me bring it back. She's human. Look at her. She's losing it.
I just hate how their fucking weird, smarmy masturbation shit altered everything.
The entire timeline. So, the story goes that when God made Adam from clay, he also made Lilith from the same substance. And then Lilith had all her own autonomy and could do, as she chose. And she wanted to be on top during sex. I shit you not. This is the origin of the legend, the myth.
This shit pisses me off.
She wanted
so
to
much.
be on top during sex. And Adam refused. He would not allow the woman to be on top during sex. And so she was, I forget, she was not banished. She basically was reprimanded and then dissolved. She disappeared into the ether. And then God made Eve from one of Adam's ribs. And so that, instead of two people being made from the same divine substance, now the story was women come from men. They are submissive to men, and they must always be quiet unless spoken to. And that was the beginning. And so the jizz blow.
So Adam's mom was a cunt.
Well, that's just it. Who is Adam's mom?
I don't know.
Why was she erased?
I don't. Yeah.
Sometimes the Holy Spirit is seen as being feminine.
Fucked up.
So God the Father, and then the Holy Spirit, the mother, the maternal divine presence, and then Jesus the Son, that's a certain type of Christian heresy. It's Marcionism or something like that. But some people have tried to include that female spirit, but it's been tamped down by the stern patriarchal
cummy pants.
Yeah, so that, I guess, in Jewish tradition, in the Old Testament, you're not supposed to let your seed hit the ground without, impregnating a woman. You're not supposed to masturbate or blow a load without trying to grow the kingdom of Israel, So if you have a Nocturnal Emission, which Whitney wants to create a strip club.
Yeah.
It's called Nocturnal Emissions. So if you have Nocturnal Emissions, that's you being raped by a demoness named Lilith.
Eats babies, and then you guys are married, right?
Yes. So having had sex with this succubus, you now have to perform this divorce ritual. They have these ancient bowls that have prayers written in
for you to come in,
descending down the side of the bowl in Hebrew or Aramaic, or I forget. And then in the middle, there's this picture of Lilith. She looks fucking nuts. She's always chained up, and she has crazy long black hair that's all over the place.
Because this bitch wanted to be on top.
Because she wanted to be on top. She wanted to make her own decisions. She wanted to have her own control over her own body. And that has never been acceptable to the powers that be.
So in my strip club called Nocturnal Emissions, you have to put on a tux and then all the strippers are Lilith, and they're all bridals, and then you have to perform the divorce ritual before you leave.
And your jalapeno poppers are served in the bowl that
your jalapeno poppers
ritual
are filled with cum.
Wait, my side. Who's cum? Alien cum?
The dishwasher.
Hey, John, can you come in these poppers? We gotta drop them at. Can you just come in these and then drop them at table 9?
The refractory period needs to be pretty quick, though. Why is it every time we talk about religion, this shit gets rated?
It goes back to cum. Because that's the seed. That's where all the DNA, like all the intricate plans to build a human is located in semen. And it's just jizzed into a tissue and thrown into the trash.
So then
It's mind-boggling.
This dude had a problem and created a...
But it's a common problem. It's a common
it's
problem.
Also, is it really a problem? I don't
right?
know. It's not a
Normalize
problem.
nocturnal emissions. But in ancient... It's common. And so,
It's coming.
It's common. I assume, because I don't have a dicky or a ballsies, and I don't know, but I assume that it happens. And so if there's a rule against spilling your seed without purpose, then you feel guilty and shame from doing that. And so they're like, oh, you were raped by a demoness. That sucks, bro. I guess it's not your fault.
They normalized it through the desecration of the female.
Yeah, it was like at her expense.
Right.
That what you
also wait, hold on.
Shameful.
What if they're right? What if you are
Great question.
What if you are getting raped by a succubus?
What if
in
you
your
are?
sleep?
What if we need
Wait a second.
So there's all these rituals too that they would undergo to prevent their babies from being killed by Lilith, because it was so much more common for babies to just like not make it from a certain period of time.
Ancient SIDS. Yeah.
Ancient SIDS, it's always been an issue. Or, mothers dying in childbirth and things like that. Before the modern era, when we had modern medicine and sort of imaging and we could anticipate these things, there was all these rituals. Like if the woman is on top when you have sex and you conceive a baby, there's greater chances that that baby won't survive. Or
shut the fuck up. That is not true.
If you have too much fun when you're having sex, you could be endangering the life of your baby before they're even born.
Oh my God.
Tons of stuff like that. Like very personal, like telling you how you can behave in private situations with your lover. That was part of basically the state, the religious state that held reign over everybody's lives. But there's always going to be like an undercurrent of rebellion, And I think that's like quintessentially human. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing it. Don't worry. And then behind closed doors, you do whatever the fuck you want because you believe and in your heart that the ramifications are not, the consequences that they say are not true. There's always people within a group who are like, nah, I don't really think that's true, but we do it because,
And none of those people made their way into books.
Just like the lackadaisical.
Like, yeah. Fuck it up.
I mean, the people who are making records of what they're doing or what they believe or their own philosophy are going to be super gung-ho and not representative of most people who just want to like get their fucking sheep across the field and then come home, have a beer, blow a load, and then go to bed.
That's what we were talking about, how gender normative stuff came about. It's like 40% of people need to be told what to wear and how to act.
Yes.
And then 60% are like, fuck you, I'll do whatever I want. But it's like there's a large group of people, like if it was the end of the world and I'm in a big group of people, I don't trust most of them because they're all going to fend for themselves. But there's like 10% of them that you're like, okay,
yeah. They're
down
like,
to clown.
Now, is that a difference between leaders and followers?
Probably. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's been instances, I don't know how many times, where I'm just like in a public setting being like, hey, no, this is not, come on, what the fuck is going on?
Well, here's the question. Can you find like a noble, sort of intelligent example of a follower? Like somebody who knew that someone else had a better idea and they like fell in line? Or is it always associated with being, not really switched on mentally?
I think not really being switched on, and mostly they're kind of, Robert Anton Wilson has this really cool modality of circuitry in which circuits you're obsessed with. There's like the anal circuitry, which means you're obsessed with your property. You're like, this is mine. And then there's the oral fixation circuitry, which is like people who like to fuck a lot. And like, so those people, there's a circuitry for safety. It's like those people are like, they just want to do what's safe and what's going to.
Oh, I see.
They don't feel safe if they were to make their own decisions. Yeah. They don't trust their own,
But that might be just like a quality of personality.
Yeah.
The book I picked up yesterday is called Quirk, and it's like the brain chemistry behind your personality and like different sort of categories of how all of our personalities vary. And it seems at first glance incredibly reductive, but I'll give it a chance, read through it, see what it says about being.
What did you learn about Mary Magdalene? You sent me a clip. I don't think I got to watch it. Is it about her titty?
Mary, a lot of her writings are lost to time, but that which has been recovered, I think it was in the Nag Hammadi Coptic, like Egypt writings that they found in the 40s or 50s. But it's very fragmented. But what they have discovered, and this is all coming from a video that I watched on Esoterica, the YouTube channel. What is his name? Dr. Justin Sledge. I donated $2 to his YouTube because I was so grateful for his presentations. So he says that a lot of her writings are lost to time, but what remains is theologically breathtaking. Like the way that she conceived of, the world and creation and God and love and Jesus.
Subscribe.
So she says all matter and spirit are intermingled. There's no apocalyptic mumbo jumbo, which is heavily influenced by the Jewish outlook. Like the end is nigh. You need to cut the skin off the tip of your dick. It's like, if you don't do this, God's going to be pissed. Sin comes into being through metaphysical adultery or infidelity to our true self, our true identity. Gender has no bearing on spiritual truth. That is all I wrote. But I thought that part where they talk about infidelity to our true self is like a sort of spiritual adultery. It's like you place too much emphasis on the material realm where your body physically exists, and you forget about your true nature.
Which is so strange because Egyptian allegory is so, like, you see all the tombs that involve sound and vibration and precise alignment with, it's like there was so much non-material stuff happening. But
that's so interesting because there also seems to be an incredible emphasis on the physical because they go through the process of mummification and like leaving behind.
Well, you know what's crazy is
or like getting your body ready for the afterlife.
So they were obsessed with necropolises and stuff and preserving your body so that you could come back in the afterlife. But Lucas and I were talking, we're like, Egypt used to be tropical.
Yeah.
Boom, isn't anymore. Perfect conditions for mummification.
Okay.
Lasting this long.
Uh-huh.
Right. If those climates remained tropical, they wouldn't have lasted. Like you need extreme, like there's bog mummies, like because they were submerged.
Bog butter. Have you heard of bog butter?
What the fuck is bog butter?
It's ancient butter. Like people used to store their butter in the cool water, but it got preserved in the bog. And you could like pull it. It's
shit.
like
Dude,
thousands of years old.
Dude, would you eat it?
Yeah. Ancient butter? Fuck yeah.
Bog butter. I have never heard of bog butter.
Bog butter.
So I was like, what if there was some intuition of like, they think one thing, oh, we're going to the afterlife, which I do believe. There's like no way. We don't have proof that it doesn't exist.
Well, you believe it's a circle, right?
Yeah. There's the threshold and you cross it or you don't cross it. And we don't have, not everybody has access to peer into the other side and whatever, vice versa.
A lot of people think it's linear. Like you start, you fuck it up.
Because we're just addicted to our senses.
Sucks, and then you die. And that's it. But yeah.
And then, but what if it was like, we're preserving our bodies so they could be resurrected and found? Which I thought was super cool because it's like, none of this. We were watching them like pry open a tomb and they were hit with a scent and all the scientists started panicking because they're like, that means that there's bacteria and there could be, I was like, oh, you guys are just fucking with the end of humanity by like unleashing a fucking virus or bacteria. was never supposed
Wait,
to be
what is
found.
that called? It like because of the taiga defrosting, there's like ancient diseases locked in the ice that's going to be released.
That's like one of the number one worries of global boiling. Is
what? I'll have to look it up. Go on. So they smelled cinnamon when they opened up the tombs.
No, they smelled something bad, and then they're like, "Stop! Close it!"
Why wouldn't you wear a hazmat suit if you're opening up something that's ancient?
When you see the dudes who are excavating tombs in Egypt, they have nothing. They don't have gloves, shoes, nothing. But I'm like, shoes don't make sense because you're in sand, so it makes sense to be in your bare feet. But yeah, no, it's all still pretty.
Very hands-on, very full body on.
Very full-bodied, yeah.
I would make croissants out of bog butter.
I would test it first just to make sure it's like, how much bacterium can I withstand before dying? Sure. Unless that's how you want to go, which would be pretty dope.
I mean, I don't really want to choose.
You don't want to, cook and bake and consume your own demise. That would be suicide.
Not deliberately.
That would be suicidal.
Bog butter croissants with toad jam. Toad jam.
Is that of your own making, or is that a real
jam
thing?
made out of toads? I would just make that. Yeah. Aaron said he made croissants when he was in Costa Rica.
He did?
Yeah, he made croissants.
At his house or someone else's house? He's so against cooking.
At his own house.
Oh. Fuck yeah. Costa Rican croissants. Croissants.
So I had a question for you.
Please.
Because, we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs briefly, and how on the bottom of the pyramid, you have your physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing. And then all the way at the top, after you get all of that fulfilled, then you can seek self-actualization. So
I think you and I are exceptions to the rule.
I think so too. I think that you don't have to necessarily see it as a pyramid. Like, you don't need to accomplish.
Is it
because I was thinking
obelisk,
about
a dodecahedron?
Monks who deliberately deprive themselves of those, essential needs, physiological needs, so that they can reach spiritual enlightenment and transcendence. But then I was thinking about like Ram Dass and how he started from a pretty high level. Like, he had everything he needed, then some. He was like skin diving off the cliffs of Hoosier Poopy, and then realized that it all wasn't enough. Like, it was
a rat race.
It was empty, it was the game, and he didn't want to play the game anymore. And then I was also thinking about the Buddha, who started life having everything he needed as a prince who was sheltered and coddled, and, death and aging and sickness were all shielded from his view. So, and then he reached spiritual transcendence and became the Buddha. That seems unfair, Like, oh, they had everything.
Oh, wait, so then the pyramid is correct.
In those scenarios, but I feel, is it not possible for poor people who never get a leg up in life to self-actualize?
I think
that's what it sounds like.
For the most part, poor people are functioning out of survival and necessity. So but then there's, you can't make sweeping generalizations. And there are a lot of people who are poor and dedicated to the spiritual life.
Or specifically impoverished because they took a vow of poverty and chastity.
How many monks are making it is what I want to know.
With each other?
No, making it to self-actualization.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know how to quantify
me, I'm always
that.
Like, pussies. Because it's so much harder.
I need like a napkin for my butt sweat.
You need a diaper?
Yeah.
Dude, Ruby had a dream last night. She woke up in the middle of the night screaming, "No, I don't want a diaper. Don't put it on me." And I was like, oh my God.
That's so tough. Like, she's got a lot of high level things going on.
Yeah, she's been potty trained for years. It's like, why
she's
would
afraid
that even
to recede back into that time when she had no control over anything.
What were we talking about? Butt sweat, diapers.
Sorry. Well, we were talking about whether it is actually necessary to have all of these steps of the pyramid fulfilled before you can become the most that you can be. And I think to an extent that, here, do you want to look at it?
Yeah.
To an extent, like if I can recall back through my privileged life, when I had to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and, 5 or 6 days a week, I didn't have any mental energy to do creativity or to do
then it's
intellectual.
Then it's not a pyramid. Then it's like that layer is like way wider.
Yeah, but it seems like that little deficit of time where I can dedicate, I don't know, I was just working to pay the bills, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and your esteem in the service industry is not. It's constantly
I do feel
crushed.
like I've only recently become fully human because I've brought my self-esteem up to a level where I care about my own shit, my own self, in the way that I've always just cared about other people. And it makes me think of Dune when Paul Atreides has to take the Gom Jabbar test, where to decide whether he's human or animal. I feel like I've been just animal up until this point, and that I have passed the test.
Yeah, it's crazy that someone of your nature and demeanor was in kitchens, because like kitchens are just like, there's a lot of like,
They're so destructive.
there's abuse, there's addiction, there's so many things going on.
Well, it's interesting. I never intended to even work as a cook. Like I wanted to write about food and like sort of take food from a cultural perspective and historical perspective and
you wanted to be
anthropological.
Food,
I wanted to be like a gourmand sort of. I wanted to be in that intellectual zone in food.
But instead, you had bills to pay.
But instead, I had bills to pay, but I also didn't have a clear vision of what that would look like. So I kind of just said yes as opportunities arose. And being in culinary school, everybody made it seem like the best thing you could do was work in a restaurant. I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then I did. And then life was insane. Life was crazy. And I'm glad I'm on the other side of it. Thank you.
I know, yeah. I've been courted recently to help somebody open up a restaurant. And I'm like, no. It's just I'm not passionate enough about doing that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Chaos.
It's constant sacrifice. It's a lot of money. You don't make money. That is not the vision. You and I, stepping into the teaching realm is like, fucking, you get to be the gourmand. You get to teach and talk and do the cultural research and exploration. You don't get to do that at a restaurant. You get to get shitted on and shat on, and it never stops. And fuck that.
You do learn, like, technically how to make food good, which
under
is
intense
great,
pressure.
but it is almost always at the expense of your own sense of self.
That pressurized,
in my experience,
duty creates a camaraderie. You see it in the military. It creates a camaraderie that is
band of brothers.
So hard to replicate. Like, I remember doing shots of Smith and Cross underneath a bar at a James Beard restaurant, like crying because your job is constantly on the line and you're like, I'm going to drink because otherwise I'm going to be too stressed and then I'm going to get a bad review and then you're going to fire me at the end of the night. And we're all just like cheersing and just like getting ulcers from it. So
that shared stress, that shared trauma is so bonding though.
Yeah, we all have matching rum tattoos.
Show me, can you, if you want to?
I've got wait.
That's a rum tattoo?
That's Smith and Cross, baby.
Oh, shit.
I showed one of my religious philosopher friends. He's like, that's where Christ was stabbed. And I was like, okay.
Well, not really.
Smith and Cross!
Here, I took a picture of this graphic novel cover yesterday. It almost looks like your tattoo.
Fun girl. What is that?
a graphic novel called Fun Girl. I thumbed through it. It looked interesting because when I was in early high school, I created a character called Bees, and she looked kind of like that. And I was like, Bees, how did you get out of my,
Did you leave my
accordion
psyche
file
for someone else's?
when somebody else made you into a book? But I love Smith and Cross.
If you haven't had Smith and Cross, you haven't really lived.
It's so yummy. I'm staring at a bottle of it right now. The first time I had a daiquiri that you made,
I only use Smith and Cross for daiquiris.
and I'll never forget how you characterized its flavor. It's like caramel kerosene.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So tasty. But also,
I'm going to pee my pants.
Oh, go pee. In the chair right here. Why would you go? Just kidding.
Oh my God. I thought it's like it went from 0 to I'm going to burst like Grandpa Simpson.
What were they saying in the chat?
Full Metal Corgi says 5% of a kitchen is sober. Insatiable Mind said, the way I read it, Buddha tried to find enlightenment through deprivation, but found it too distracting. The fat Buddha represents that his fed body to quiet the hunger that distracted him. Okay. Magic Toaster said Mr. Peanut is always judging. Did you talk about Mr. Peanut?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Because he's making deep eye contact with me from so far
We
away.
won't go over there because he's up there.
Where did he come from again?
John Paul's either like mother or great aunt or something.
We should have a ritual where we like drop him in the ocean or something.
Spencer says judgmental legumes.
My legumes are judgmental. I have
Mr. Peanut's a legume.
Oh, heard. I mean, I was sensitive about the topic because I'm soaking some kidney beans. And I wasn't sure if I shared that with the world. I was like, how did you know?
You're always soaking a bean.
Oh, fuck with beans. You know that. I'm a bean butt. A bean nut.
You're gonna have beans today?
I might be cooking some beans. Get the jalapeno garlic onion that we had left over from the taco jamboree. Get it popping. Whitney, what's your cosmic myth? How do you explain where we came from and what we're doing?
Well, I always chew on that and I don't quite understand.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna ask if you think aliens created us, who created aliens?
Well, right, it's like if everything exploded from nothing,
The Big Bang.
then what was the realization of separation? What was the realization of going from formless to form and creating a universe based in form? Why? I don't really know. It seems to me that since it's not a utopian and that it is based in the realm of suffering, that it does sort of seem like a mistake. Or like a really big realization. And maybe the realization was inevitable, is my guess.
But why?
But why is anything inevitable and why is anything catapulting towards entropy?
Why does anything exist?
Yeah, I think about that. That's why I don't smoke weed anymore, because that's just right where I go and it's just too much.
Sometimes when I can't get out of bed, I smoke weed and I jump up and I just get started.
Yes, we've brought this up. You and weed have a very different relationship than me and weed.
Absolutely.
Especially after Lucas, we finally found DMT. And I was like, ever since talking to dead people, I can't really alter my consciousness. And if I were to do that, I would need a shaman or somebody who understands. Like, I can't just, it's just like not worth it anymore.
Yeah, some friends have indulged and they've said that they like saw the mothership of where
There's
we
a
all
consistent
came from.
theme of everybody smoking DMT and seeing another species.
Yeah, it seems like a cool experiment, but I'm also quite attached to
Your body and your
the way that I see things currently.
The good thing is DMT lasts a few minutes. It's not very long.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's your cosmic myth? We're all just a big bog croissant layered in with
Pretty much.
sensuality and
I've never really had one cohesive, perpetual outlook. My beliefs tend to shift based on my learnings. I think that my origins of the universe are heavily based in physics and what I know about physics through physics scholarship. So I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. I don't really know what consciousness is or why it is.
nobody knows yet. They study it heavily and still.
But I don't even have like an idea about what it could be, you know? I don't know what, matter versus energy, dark matter, dark energy, ghosts and shit.
Junk DNA.
Junk DNA, the Kabbalah, fucking Lilith, and patriarchy. It's all just a big tornado in my head all the time.
Yeah.
You can see a cow flying through, and then like some picket fence.
Instead of alcohol, I just want a dumb helmet. Just want to put
that's what alcohol is, though.
I just want to put on a dumb hat and be like, just like totally rainbow beach ball buffer. I think.
Oh, pure being. Pure being.
Yeah, but also just totally not aware.
The constant bonk. Yourself in the head.
Maybe I just need to bonk myself in the head.
Yeah. Every time you get hit, you're like,
Whoop, 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 and then just whipped cream pie to the face. All right, guys. Camera's done. That means it's time. Mr. Peanut.
fuck you, Mr. Peanut.
Fuck you, Mr. Peanut.
Thanks for chilling with us. Oh, stay cool out there if you're Austin way.